You ever look at some people and wonder how they seem to build wealth so easily, while the rest of us feel like we're just running in place? Well, it's not just about earning a bigger paycheck. Turns out, the truly wealthy are playing a completely different game. They have a totally different financial playbook. So let's open up that playbook and see exactly how they do it. Okay, this one slide, this is basically the whole game right here. Most of us are taught to live on that top line, the linear path. You get a salary, you spend it, and, maybe you save whatever's left over. The wealthy mindset, though, it's a loop. It's a circle. They focus on buying assets first. Those assets then spit out cash, which they immediately use to buy even more assets. It becomes this incredible self-feeding machine that just builds on itself. All right, so the very first move in this new playbook is to change how you keep score. Seriously, it's time to stop stressing about the tiny details of your monthly budget and start focusing on the big picture, your personal balance sheet. And this really gets to the heart of the strategic difference. The average focus is all about defense. You're just trying to manage expenses, making sure you don't run out of money before the end of the month. The wealthy focus? It's all offense. The single, solitary goal is to make your total net worth grow. You're playing a totally different game. And believe me, the prize is way, way bigger. And here's the formula. It's super simple. Net worth is just the value of your assets, all the stuff you own, minus your liabilities, which is all the stuff you owe. In this new playbook, your only job is to make this one number go up every single month. That's it. That's the game. Let's make this real for a second. You just add up your assets, things like your investments, the equity in your home, cash in the bank. Then you subtract your liabilities, your mortgage, any loans, credit card debt. That number at the bottom, that's your net worth. I'd seriously encourage you to hit pause and calculate your own. Think of that number as your new starting line. Okay, so you've got your starting score. Now it's time for the fun part, building the machine that makes that number grow. This is all about creating a money engine that's working for you 24/7, even when you're sleeping. Now, I'm sure you've heard the old saying, pay yourself first, but the wealthy do it differently, and the order of operations is everything. The second their income hits their account, boom, before a single bill gets paid, a big chunk, say 20 or 30%, is automatically shot over to an investment account. Then they just live off whatever's left. By flipping the script like this, investing stops being an afterthought and becomes the absolute top priority. It's non-negotiable. So what are you buying with that money? You're buying the gears for your engine. You're buying income-producing assets, things that actually put cash back into your pocket. We're talking about things like stocks that pay you dividends, rental income from a property, heck, even just renting out a spare room, or building a side business that can grow. Each one of these is another gear, working together to power your growth. Look, building all this wealth is great offense, but you can't win the game without a killer defense. So the next play is to activate your financial shield. You've got to protect what you've worked so hard to build. And that brings us to the million-dollar question, right? How in the world do wealthy people legally pay a lower percentage in taxes than many of us? Well, it's not about some secret, shady scheme. It's about actually understanding the rules of the game. One of the biggest tools, and it's hiding in plain sight, is something called long-term capital gains. It's simple. If you hold an investment for more than 1 year before you sell it, any profit you make is taxed at a much, much lower rate than your regular paycheck. The tax code literally rewards you for being patient. Here's another pro-level defensive move, planning for the long, long term. A tool like a revocable living trust sounds complicated, but its job is simple. It lets you pass on your assets to your family or whoever you choose privately and super efficiently. It basically lets them skip a huge, expensive, and very public headache in court called probate. This keeps your legacy intact and under your control. Okay, now we're getting into the truly advanced stuff. This is where you realize that building serious wealth isn't a solo mission. It's a team sport. It's all about getting the right experts on your side and making some really smart moves. I mean, just look at the difference here. This is the shift from do-it-yourself to a full-on professional team. Instead of TurboTax, they have a CPA who is a tax strategist, planning moves years in advance. Instead of a do-it-yourself will, they have an estate attorney structuring their entire legacy. They build a team, a CPA, a lawyer, and a fiduciary financial advisor, who by law has to act in your best interest. It's about optimizing every single corner of their financial life. And what they invest in? Yeah, that looks totally different too. It's not just the S&P 500. You see huge chunks in things like real estate, private equity, which is just a fancy way of saying they invest in companies before they're available on the stock market, and other alternatives. This broad diversification is their ultimate shield against the wild swings of the daily stock market. Okay, so we've talked about your scoreboard, your engine, your shield, the whole pro-level playbook. It's a lot, I know. But what's the one thing you can do, like right now, today? It all comes down to a single, incredibly powerful shift in how you think. Look, if you forget everything else I've said, just remember this one thing. Stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an owner. The next time you're about to buy the newest iPhone, just pause for a second and ask yourself, instead of just buying their product, how could I own a tiny piece of the company that makes the product? That tiny shift in thinking from consumption to ownership, that's the real secret. That's the foundation of the entire wealthy playbook. So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Tonight, when you have a quiet moment, take a look at your own finances and ask yourself this one simple question. Is my money just being spent, or is it actually being put to work? Honestly, the answer to that question will define your entire financial future.